Murat Yazar is a Kurdish documentary photographer and photojournalist from Bakur, northern Kurdistan. Murat has worked on stories and projects from across his homeland, including his ongoing project, Shadows of Kurdistan. He walked 1,200 kilometers as part of the Out of Eden project, crossing and documenting the journey from Anatolia into Georgia. He is a multi-award and multi-grant winning photographer, including a W Eugene Smith Fund finalist and more recently a Pulitzer Center Grantee. His work has been published in such organizations as National Geographic, Now Magazine, The New York Times, and Travel Globe Magazine, among several others. And now, a conversation with Murat Yazar. How did I do on the bio? Is there anything you'd like to add? Anything that I missed?
No, it's okay. I mean, anytime something is going to be, odd this bio, but it's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you've lived a life and you've seen the world, so it's hard to condense that into a few lines.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll start by, first of all, how are you doing and where are you in the world right now?
Actually, right now I am in Sanliurfa in Turkey, the city where I was born. I just came 1 month ago from Italy, and this my photo story about Shadows of Kurdistan. It's like an open project, and every time when I find time, I just travel in Kurdistan and I take some new photos. So I was traveling actually 2 weeks. Just yesterday, I arrived this city for a bit rest. Yeah.
What were your early days like growing up in Kurdistan, and what was your journey towards photography?
Well, I was, as I said, I was born in this city, actually in countryside, in a small city called Şanlıurfa, and I was born in a village which had like 12 houses, very small village. And until I start school, Turkish school, I was just speaking in Kurdish. So actually, in my village, there wasn't school, so my family sent me a dormitory school. If I said in English, well, like
Yeah,
you
that's right.
go, yeah, you. So we were going there, staying 3 weeks, sleeping there, studying. So actually, it was for me very a bit shock because until I started school, I was speaking Kurdish. And the day I started school, the teacher told me it's forbidden to speak Kurdish. And it's kind of like two different lives has started for me. When I was in school, I was able to just speak in Turkish, which I had problem even because I didn't know Turkish, and I have been punishment even by teachers sometimes. And after 3 weeks, when we were going to stay with family, I was speaking Kurdish. So 8 years I stayed in this school, and I have to say, actually, the photo story I'm doing now, it has been 12 years I'm working on that, Shadows of Kurdistan. I can say the roots start from that school when I start there, because it was like to about like I had a bit chaotic to say about my identity, like who I am. It's like so. Then I studied college and university in my city, and after university actually I started photography. But the photography was always for me. It was very interesting, but unfortunately that time it was not easy to get a camera. Uh, and in 2006, I had started to photography.
It's for those that may not know, this is a pretty common story of growing up speaking Kurdish and then having to go away to school and only speaking Turkish. I'm assuming it kind of creates this sense of living a dual life in a way, Kurdish at home, Turkish in the school. Did I also see that you studied tourism in university?
Yeah. Actually, I studied tourism. I finished, and then I I started economy. I left. Then I actually I went 1 year to study law, but then I quit, and just I continued in photography. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like me. I started in psychology and I thought I can't do this, and I went I went into the photography
Yeah,
and
yeah. Actually,
cinematography.
I'm very happy. I choose this way in photography.
Yeah.
It has been amazing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I am too because your work is really amazing, and we're going to talk a
Thank
lot
you.
about your project, Shadows of Kurdistan. But it's interesting. I brought up the tourism because I was wondering your work travel is such a big part of your work. You
Mhm.
know, I follow you on Instagram, and you're constantly on the road, and I was
Yeah.
wondering, if the education and tourism and your background in those schools, if they informed your work in a way to be on the road so much traveling.
Yeah. Actually, when I start to study the tourism, I was looking a bit this way because I mean, like tourism is that like you know many different people from different countries. In another way, you can travel sometimes, and but unfortunately, the tourism in this time is not like the that I was imagining. You know.
Yeah, of course.
So I finished university, but I never work on this field,
Yeah,
and so for me it's a more like a traveler, like I don't know, in the history Marco Polo,
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
this
An explorer, a great explorer.
explore the culture and the stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. In the early days of your photography, what were some of the people and the stories you were attracted to with your camera? Are there certain things that you were looking to photograph, or were you immediately drawn to documentary and photojournalism?
Well, at the beginning, I start photography without a kind of education. Like
Hmm.
I just get actually a very simple camera, like 4 megapixel, like
Hmm.
Coolpix,
Yeah.
and just I mean I like to walk, and I just was walking in the street and just taking everything actually. I mean, at the beginning, I didn't have exactly like a aim, to okay, I create like a story or something. I wanted to take photo, but it came maybe after 4 years actually until I want to create some story, which is
Hmm.
the first has been this Shadows of Kurdistan, because I actually wanted to create like a visual archive of the Kurdish culture and the lands.
Hmm. Yeah. It's I mean, like I said, you have documented communities and people from across all four parts of Kurdistan. You traveled 1,200 kilometers on foot as part of the Out of Eden project from Anatolia to Georgia. Um, when you're documenting a project like Shadows of Kurdistan, are you looking for certain things? Are you looking for certain communities? Do you have an idea in your head that's more thematic or conceptual? What is the way that you direct your projects?
Well, for me, actually, the first, I wanted to bring, like in 4 countries, the Kurdish lands, which is in Turkey, Iran, Syria, Iraq, together without the borders,
Mhm.
because this border is like it's kind of like a ghost, actually for us this border shouldn't be exist, but
Mhm.
the European power like 105 years 6 years ago they put these borders between us. So I want to bring the Kurdish culture on a photo story together without the borders, and then I look everything actually, like the political situation, the life in the city, in the village, some cultural event, So as I said, like I want to make an archive, to try to show everything. And sometimes I say it is like, okay, maybe today it doesn't seem so important, but for the future, it will be important archive, I think, as a visual archive. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes photographs that you take in a moment don't have the power that they have 5, 10 years later. They take on a kind of significance that they didn't have exactly when you pressed.
Yeah, and for me, I don't do document, just like you know, uh, maybe you saw my story, and I try to put like a bit like the feeling, the stories, a bit art. I try to mix everything.
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, and we're going to talk about that soon. But I think you already kind of explained it. But where did the idea for the title of Shadows of Kurdistan come from?
Actually, it came from, like, as I said at the beginning, because like we are, I mean, in Turkey, in Iran, in Syria, and in Iraq. Okay, in last 20 years is better, but we Kurds, we cannot live in our culture. We cannot. We are not free to improve our language or show our culture. When I was kid, you could go in jail just because of you are listening Kurdish music,
Mm.
or like kind of these things. So for me, it was like we have a culture, but
Mhm.
we are like shadows. We cannot show our colors.
Mhm.
So because of that, I put the title "Shadows of Kurdistan." We are kind of shadows in this area.
I actually have a copy of the book,
Great, thank you.
and which I am so happy about. I look at it really frequently, and anybody who's watching this, if they can find a copy of this, I really hope that they can get a copy of this, because it's absolutely beautiful work. And it that kind of leads me to my next question. Like oftentimes when we see photographs and documentation of Kurds and Kurdistan, it's almost entirely in the context of fighters and conflict. And this is especially true of non-Kurdish photographers, I think. And these are important stories, and this is an important aspect of documenting Kurdish issue. But with your work, I think you have consciously kind of placed more of an importance on the people, the communities, the cultural experiences, and the landscape and the environment of Kurdistan. And I was wondering if you could talk about those choices. And
Yeah, sure. It's like, yeah, as you said, like actually after like 2014, like mostly when the ISIS situation in Syria, in Rojava, when it started, like the Kurd situation became a bit like, let's say, popular, or many people realized, okay, there are Kurds who are there, these people. But mostly, like I have to say 95 percent, like it was like mostly, as you said, they were focusing on like fighting, or the situation of the war and the stuff. Yes, we have unfortunately this reality, but it's not all in our culture, in our lands. My way, actually, I want to make another photo story about, like, to show a different Kurdistan. Actually, it's not different. It's just reality. It's just different than many people or photographer, journalists they showed before. So
Mhm.
because of that, I mostly you see on my photos actually normal life mostly. There are some photos like when the migrants, like the ISIS was attacking, or the fighter, but mostly is just a normal life of the Kurdish culture.
Yeah, and I should say there are photographs of people escaping the war against ISIS. There are photographs of there's a photograph of a funeral of a woman who died fighting ISIS. But even in those moments, you're still focusing on the people and the community, which is kind of the flip side of what some others might focus on in those moments. You know, you're really focused on how these wars and tragedies affect communities and people on the ground, and you're looking at it from the eyes of those people most affected, and it's really beautiful, and it's a contrast to what we see in media, and Kurdish issues, Kurdish culture, Kurdish stories are already so underrepresented in media. It's so rare to see them in media. So to see it through your lens, focusing on everyday people and everyday culture, it's really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it was my aim actually. I want to just actually when I do exhibition or presentation in different countries, I have this question often, and I say like my aim is to show actually the Kurdish culture is not just like we are not just fighter or we don't have just war. So I just want to um, give you a perspective from a Kurdish person in my area. So what and and in my photography, I like to just the put people and where they live, the land, the geography to put together and to show together that.
Yeah, and I have notes because I want to I have a terrible memory, and I want to actually say in terms of the photographs and the moments you've captured, I'm really struck by the kind of emotional power that's contained within them too, and in the editing, because the editing is such an important part of the story. It's not just the photographs themselves, but the way that they're sequenced together. And like I said, I really, anybody who can find a copy of the book, I really hope that they do find it. But your images move from these kind of moments of quiet, beautiful playfulness. And you, like children, there's a lot of photographs of children playing in the landscape, which I find really wonderful. And, you know, a mother speaking to her daughter, reaching over a pot of tea on the wood stove, a bride in the landscape at the foothill of Mount Ararat in the distance. And then, you know, these photos are contrasted with quite heartbreaking images at the same time. You know, a woman in the rubble in Shirnak in 2016. Saturday mothers in Istanbul with photographs of disappeared loved ones. There's a lot of life and loss moving through your images, and there's kind of a dialogue between life and loss. And I was wondering if you could talk about some of the things that you remember witnessing that stand out to you while documenting this project.
Sure, I mean there are actually many, but I mean like one of them. I have to say, actually, it's really sometimes very difficult to be in that area and to take photos. For example, in 2015, when ISIS was attacking Shangal in Iraq, Kurdish area, Yazidi Kurds, many Kurds they escape in Turkey. It called Silopi, just at the border of Iraq. And I went there. The municipality was Kurdish that time, and the municipality created a camp. And I was helping, and in the same time, and I was taking photo because I have actually background. I work 1 year in NGO. I was logistic, and so I saw some guys, they were walking through the border and try to catch the signal by the phone. And I said, what are you doing? And they said, well, we have the Iraqi SIM card, and it just connects when we go a bit closer. and we try to just reach our relatives who we left behind us. And the one guy said me, I got from my sister a message, and she said they catch us and they put us in a room. We are few girls, and I don't know where we will go next. And then he didn't get any news. So yeah, they disappeared, and yeah, it was. I mean, there are many stories like this actually. It was so hard, honestly, to be in that situation, and I mean, because when I do photography, it's one of the important part to listen people what's going on, or what is the situation or the story, and in the same time to be there to hear this and to take photos. Sometimes was so hard. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, I can imagine. When you're working on this project and you're traveling and you are with people in communities, how long typically are you spending with people in communities as you're photographing them?
It depends the story actually. I mean, sometimes I stay 2 weeks, or sometimes I stay even longer, or sometimes I just stay a few hours, or sometimes I just travel on the road. I see people are working or doing some things. I stop, talk with them. It can even take maybe 1 hour sometimes.
Yeah.
It's depends. Yeah.
The landscape and beauty of Kurdistan is also a big part of the project. And I'm thinking of several images, like the opening of the book in the footsteps of a snow-covered landscape, and families preparing for winter, farmers, shepherds with their animals, Nevro celebrations. There's a few photographs of people in mountains. Can you talk about the importance of the landscape of Kurdistan and the importance of the landscape to the Kurdish people?
Yeah, actually, for me, it's a very important part of this story, because actually, in my article I wrote for this photo story, I say, I mean, the place where we born, it shapes us, and then we gave some name from ourselves. So there is a very special connection always, like where we born and grow up, and there is a very important connection. So for me, it's very important to put this connection with people and the landscape together in photography. And then, unfortunately, in last at least 50 years, because of this civil war, the landscape has been damaged, and even many places, the local people were living, the Kurds were living in that area. They couldn't go in this area. So to show this place in this photo story, for me, it's very important. Yeah.
What did you learn about Kurdistan doing this work that you maybe didn't know before you started photographing it?
Well, honestly, I have to say it was like, as a Kurd, like it comes from when I was kid and when I grow up, there was like a pressure, like to be close yourself, like to be close about your identity actually. Mm, many families actually, when I was kid, I remember they were speaking Turkish with their kids, just because they had fear if their kids grow up, they cannot speak Turkish well, and they could have a problem, or when they go, even if they study, when they go university, maybe they will have problem to find a work, or even it was the Turkey politics to make feel shame by your identity to be Kurds. Like it has been affected. Many Kurds have been affected by this for a while. For me, at the beginning, I just went outside of my borders. Like, by this system has been created around me and around my population. In Turkey, which I travel all the Kurdish cities in Turkey, and then I start to go other country like Iran, Iraq, which that was so interesting for me because we are same culture, language, but it's it was like there were kind of huge wall between us, and it was like a very important discovering for me. Like, in other country there are Kurds, we are speaking the same language, we have same culture, and to meet them, to see their reaction, oh, you came from Bakur, wow, okay, how is life there, and it was a very important discovering for me. And even in last years, I say, sometimes when I speak with friends, I say, we Kurds actually we have to create, like, in summer, let's say, maybe, from Iran, Kurds can be like maybe 1,000 students, they can come here. From Bakur, Kurdistan, 1,000 can go in Iran, Kurdistan, to be, changed, because yeah, we are very foreigner each other, and these because of the borders has separated our culture.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing idea. That's a great idea. And I actually wanted to ask you about that. What if there were any um, challenges to making this work? Because you do go to all four parts of Kurdistan, and I was wondering if you were immediately accepted, if there was this kind of like wonder, like, what are you doing here? What is this project? Or if you had challenges entering communities and living with different communities and photographing them. Was it kind of an immediate acceptance, or were there challenges to doing the work?
I mean, sometimes I had this situation, like, people were very suspect about what I am doing, because actually it has been like a politics of Kurds, even in Iran, I have to say. They were like getting some Kurdish kids who, and they, because they didn't have family or something, and then they grow up in some special school, and then they make them spy.
Yeah.
So when you look them, they speak perfectly Kurdish. So, but they, even when I was kid in village, my family were saying me, like, okay, if sometimes there were some guys, they were coming village to sell something by car or something, be careful, don't talk with them, or we don't know who they are,
Yeah.
they were speaking Kurdish. So these things, like, and then the fear, I mean, because always there was a big fear, actually still there is, because they don't want to have problem with the government, Turkish government, or in Iran, they always have this fear who this person maybe has connection with government. So it was, sometimes it was not easy to pass these, they border, they create a border around themselves. And but then when they understood me, and they believed, it was, yeah, so nice, and very nice connection.
Yeah, of course. And I think that you see that in the photographs. You see, I don't really like using the term fly on the wall, but you see, that life is kind of unfolding beautifully in front of your lens. And I actually wanted to ask about that, because in terms of the photographs themselves, and maybe this will be interesting to other photographers, it's kind of a mix of these beautiful and more simple moments, like a single person in the landscape, and then mixed with these kind of very complex and dramatic compositions. in the frame, that's filled with lots of people. And I'm thinking of, the photograph of the Saturday mothers, or there's some Kurdish day laborers that you photograph through a window that, the light and the composition is very beautiful and complex. And I'm wondering if you could talk a bit about your way of seeing as a photographer, and maybe if you're looking for certain things when making a picture.
Actually, as at the beginning we were talking, I really look some very, very special moment. Like it's because for me it's like when I show something, because it's my aim, I want to create a visual archive of Kurdish culture, and then even a single photo to show people. I want to show something really special, and because of that, I always look very, very some special moment. Like, for example, in last 2 weeks, I was traveling few cities in countryside. There was full snow, mountain. In village I went, and I think I just took 2 photos, in these 2 weeks. It's so, and then it's like. Yeah, like sometimes I look some things if there is a cultural, event, or some like politics situation, or like even a culture, let's say, like the nomad Kurds, like they, at the spring they start to move on the mountain, and then end of the autumn they come back down some warm place, to prepare for winter. So that is even a important part of the culture. So kind of these things I look. Yeah.
Well, it's amazing work, and for this work, you received, or you were, a W Eugene Smith Fund grant finalist.
Yeah.
Which is coveted by, I think, every photojournalist on the planet. It's really amazing. And I was wondering if you could talk about maybe a little bit about what the reception has been like of this work, but also the importance and challenges around finding funding and ways to make a long-term project like this for any Kurdish photographers or other who are interested in doing this kind of long-form work.
Well, honestly, at the beginning, few years, I was just I was paying from my pocket,
Yeah, as we all do.
Yeah, to do photography, and I was working sometimes. Actually, when I was living in Turkey, Kurdistan part, I was working even sometimes fixer, or I work 1 year with NGO, sometimes like this work. And then I was going to make my photography, because few years at the beginning, I didn't earn money photography. Actually, still I don't earn money by photo, but at least now I can have some money to do my photography.
Yeah, I think that's the best we can hope for at this point.
Yeah, and in last few years, I have been lucky a bit, because I got some grant, like from Italy, like Ismail. There is Kurdish Institute, they support my project. Like Eugene Smith, I got, and some other prize I got. So, and then still I look some, often I go, look some grants to, apply. And like the Pulitzer 2 years ago for the Euphrates and Tigris River, so I got this grant. So now in this way I try to continue my photography.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that really briefly too, is that in 2024 you did get a Pulitzer Center grant for your project, Lost Paradise, documenting the Tigris and the Euphrates. This is also a really interesting project. Can you talk a bit about this project that you just recently completed too?
Yeah, actually, I really like story, and in photography even I like to make connection my photography with some legend or we in the history. For example, before even in 2020, I did a photo story about Mount Ararat, like because like Mount Ararat stay in Turkey at the corner and with the border Armenia, Azerbaijan, Iran. So it stayed between four countries. So I just made a turn around Mount Ararat in these four countries, and my aim was like if we think or believe the life has started again around this Mount Ararat, and how is the life now? How is going right now? Lost Paradise for me it was a bit similar, which I was born in village near Euphrates. I learned to swim in Euphrates, so my childhood was around this area, and in last 30 years it changed a lot, this area, because Turkey created many dams on these rivers, and the landscape change. Many towns, village has been lost underwater. So
And
I
some of them
wanted.
are ancient, very ancient cities
Yeah,
and places.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, for example, Hassan Cave, which
Mhm.
had 12,000 years story,
Mhm.
history. Like in my city, there was Nevala Chori, which had again like 12,000 years Neolithic time. And around like there was another like Commagene king. It was the capital city of the Commagene, and left underwater. So like these, because when they created this dam, the almost all the valley of these rivers left underwater, and at the
Mhm.
beginning life has started around this valley, around
Mhm.
the river. So and then they like they put some Mayan, no, how they looking for some gold or
Yeah,
stamps,
the
or
resource extraction.
yeah, like they
Yeah.
poison this river, many things.
Mhm.
So I wanted to actually focus on this problem,
Mhm.
how we are actually killing this river and ecosystem. So
Yeah.
I asked Pulitzer grant, and thanks them they supported. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing and it's really important work. And you also wrote a piece for the project with the photographs in National Geographic, and it was published in National Geographic and Yale 360. And anybody who's watching, I'll find a way to make sure that those links are available. But please go and look at that piece and read that piece, because you start with quite personal stories about your childhood and growing up around these rivers and the importance. These are the rivers of Mesopotamia, the cradle of
Yeah.
civilization. So, these are some of the most historic sites in the world that are rapidly changing in the modern age. And I think you document it wonderfully and bring a lot of importance. And during this project, really briefly, I know that you were even detained in Iraq for 8 days, and I know I saw
Yeah.
photographers and
Yeah.
and
Unfortunately.
yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, colleagues and even the committee to protect journalists pushing for your release. So, you don't have to go into any specific details, but if you don't want to, but I think it shows the challenges that photojournalists and documentary photographers face, even in documenting projects that might not seem as complicated as others. But have you noticed a change in the work? Are there different challenges you face now compared to when you started 20 years ago?
I mean, honestly, this is the one thing I cannot understand. Like, because
Mm,
mostly, even in Iraq, the situation I had, they thought I can be spy.
mm,
I mean, in Iran, even when I was working on the story of Mount Ararat, I have been stopped by Iranian soldier again. I was lucky, just few hours they stopped me. But the point is, like, when they see the photo camera with you, they think you can be spy. But but the tech but the technology now we have, like, I mean, this mobile phone, like, I mean, if I want to, like, be kind of, if I am a spy, let's say,
yeah,
I will just go like a mobile phone or, something. I will not show myself like a
yeah.
giant, I'm with a
You're
camera,
you're a pretty terrible spy if you're showing up
I
with a giant lens. So be
exactly.
careful.
I really, I cannot understand this mentality, like how they still think like if this person has photo camera, okay, can be spy. So honestly, it didn't change when I start photography. Now it's still
Yes.
the same. It's yeah,
Okay,
unfortunately, it
good.
didn't change.
At least there's consistency.
Yeah, it's not
You,
just me. I mean, many photographers
I know.
they had the similar, which even some of them worst.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
yeah. Unfortunately, um, can I just to kind of wrap up? Can I ask? This is a general question that everybody asks, but I think maybe it's especially interesting for Kurdish photographers because I think photography among the Kurdish community is often not as represented in the arts or conversation. And I know that there's so many talented people out there doing amazing work. And I was wondering for you who's been at this for a few decades now, do you have any advice, especially for Kurdish photographers looking to do this kind of long form documentary work, documenting their communities and their parts of Kurdistan?
Yeah, I mean, actually, even I have some friends, the Kurdish photographer. They do really great works,
Mhm,
and I mean, like in Turkey, most like in last years, the photography is moving, and
mhm,
like in we like Diyarbakır city, which for us is kind of a capital city for
mhm,
Kürtçe. Like in last some years, they do a big photo festival. It's called
mhm.
Diyarbakır Photography Days, and so I mean, it just yeah, the documentary photography is not easy because unfortunately now it's you cannot find really a space for yourself, to even a bit continue in your life or show your works because it changed a lot. But it's very important to do documentary photography. It's because it's something like as I said, like beginning, okay, maybe now it's not so important, but in future these photos who knows, maybe they will put in museum or some
Yeah.
books or somewhere. So it just, yeah, it's not easy. It's a not easy way, but you just have to keep going. It's that I did like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean it's true. It's great advice. It's a struggle. It's a challenge because it's difficult to get funding, it's difficult to get the pictures made, and then it's difficult to get the pictures seen. But it's such important work, from a news perspective, but also a history perspective, like you said. And if people can find a way to do it, even working other jobs at the same time or doing other things, I think it's a super important
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
thing to
exactly. Which I
do.
have, as I said, I have some Kurdish photographer. They like one I have. She's teacher and she do photography too.
Yeah,
Another has like
great.
a shop. She works in his shop. Then he do photography. So yeah, I mean, I think it's important to just keep continuing to make
Yeah,
photography.
absolutely. And then for you, this Shadows of Kurdistan project continues. Do you see this as a lifelong project, or do you see this as a project with an end date? How do you feel?
I I don't think it. I don't have like a date. Like, okay, this will
Yeah.
finish today, because I mean the area is very changing so fast. Like something is happening. Like in last almost 1.5 years, again, like there is a peace process in Turkey between Kurds and the Turkish government. Like we don't know what will happen, but something is happening, changing, or the life changing, the landscape changing, like I did on these photos, Lost Paradise, about the Tigris Euphrates River. So for me, I want to just keep continuing to make new photos and to take these what is changing even, and yeah, I think I will continue on this story until I can do photography.
Yeah,
In all my life.
I'm really happy to hear that, especially right now. There's a lot going on, especially in Bakur, Rojava, and Rojalat. So I'm happy to have your camera photographing.
Yeah. But just like I can say this, like I mean, at the beginning I was taking more photos, but now I just take very rare photos, like because there are two reasons. Because I had my own perspective about photography, and the second, sometimes I see something, I say I did this already, so I don't want to repeat repeat myself, and so I take less photo than before. But then, like actually, I still haven't been in Rojava because it's not easy for me, because I have just Turkish passport, and to go there it can create for me big problems. So now this, for example, this peace process, if it goes well, then I want to go in Rojava even, because it's that part is missing for me. So I will focusing probably maybe 1-2 years even just there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. I hope that becomes a reality so that you can go there. I'm excited to see the pictures in that process. Okay, I know you are posting regularly on Instagram, so anybody who's watching, I think they should follow you on Instagram, because they can follow your journey. The photographs you're posting there are really valuable and worth seeing. Your website is a great resource. You're posting, you're getting published, sorry, in National Geographic and other publications. But other than those places, are there certain places that people should follow your work? Where would you like people to go?
I mean, as you said, like I have Instagram and Facebook and my webpage. I sometimes I publish some my new photos, and even I like actually to sometimes share some story where I am making photos. Even I did 2 times, like in Italy at my exhibition. I just put some videos together and just on the screen when people going to look the photo, and then they see where I took these photos. So this video, were moving. So on my social media I share these stories, and I have on my webpage my photos.
And the exhibition.
And then and then I share, like when I have exhibition, like as I said, like the soon exhibition I have in Milano at the festival, 7 March, and then there are some others. There are other 2 in Italy and 1 in Paris. So I share these exhibitions too.
Great. So anybody who's watching, please be on the lookout for those too. Please go see them. Okay, Murat, thank you so much. It was a really great privilege and honor to get to speak with you about your work and life. It's really amazing, the work that you're doing, and so valuable. So thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you to you. It was really very nice to talk with you.
Oh, great.